afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. When classes started last month at UVM, the freshman students weren't the only ones spending their first days on campus. In addition to welcoming 2,400 new students for the class of 2019, UVM also greeted 60 new faculty members, and many of those new educators began their work in Vermont with a special tour. Now, to find out more, I'm joined by Doug Lontine. Doug is the Dean of UVM Extension and the host of the new faculty tour. Welcome. It's great to see you again.
Great to see you, Judy.
So tell me about what this tour is all about.
Well, I thought it would be nice, having grown up in Vermont. I've met new faculty through the years, and they fly into Burlington and they find a house in the area and they get on to campus and they live on campus or back and forth. And so I thought it'd be a great idea to introduce new faculty to the state, to see agriculture up close, to see the range of agriculture, see the lake, hear about all the work that UVM faculty are already doing across the state. So it was really just an introduction to their new home, which was broader than where their home was or the campus was.
And so how long have you been doing this?
This is actually only my, this last summer was the fourth
really?
year. Yeah, it's relatively new. I thought about it for many years and just finally decided to do it.
And so what kind of feedback have you gotten?
Oh, it's all over the board, all positive all over the board, from just absolute pleasure to see the range, to getting calls 2 and 3 years later from faculty saying thank you because of this connection they made on the tour. They've just written a grant together, and they wouldn't have done that likely if they hadn't had this last 2 to 3 years to interact after meeting on the tour. To people having a broader understanding of the Vermont and how their data or how their research could be oriented to support the state of Vermont rather than just taking data they had taken from another state as they came here. They saw, oh shoot, I should really focus on my research on how it benefits Vermont.
And what kind of reaction do you get from the places where you visit? I mean, you pick certain places to go.
Yep.
And what's the feedback you get from those folks?
Well, they're always excited about seeing these individuals that are willing to come out and visit their place of business. As you might imagine, everyone's rather proud of the business that they've started and or run or is 4 generations long. And so they're just extremely proud to show off their retail establishment or their farm or the way they do business, or just the landscape and the communities that make up Vermont.
And it's a great way to share information too. As you mentioned, people are coming from all over the country to UVM and have had experiences that maybe they can share.
Right, and also they're coming to something we talk about a lot here about the Land Grant University, which is a university that's supposed to serve the state in which it resides. And some of them have come from land grants and didn't know it. They don't know what the land grant mission is. So they get a long lecture from me over the entire day, or really what it means to be a faculty member at a land grant university from my perspective. And I had the new provost on it last year, and he agreed with me, so that was nice to know.
So where did you go this year?
Well, we always make a loop up through Franklin County and part of Chittenden County, but we go up to Maple near Jeffersonville, and we look at some vegetable and some robotic dairy operations in the Fairfax area. Then we go into downtown St. Albans because the Master Gardeners do a lot of work with the park and helping with the revitalization of St. Albans, to large dairy up in the Franklin area, to small organic dairy, to ending in the islands with maple ice cream and apple pie at the Allen Home Farm, where it's an agritourism operation, apple operation. Well,
we're going to take a moment to learn more about the newest members of the UVM community and their introduction to Vermont. Here's Across the Fence's Rebecca Gollin.
It's the start of a new semester at the University of Vermont, and there are some new faces on campus. Not just students, but also their professors.
So communication is obviously a required skill for this. I teach nutrition, education, and counseling, and in the spring I'll be teaching community nutrition.
It's Farrell Bertman's first semester teaching at UVM. She's a lecturer in the Department of Nutrition and Food Sciences. And while a lot of this is new for her, she has a distinct advantage over her fellow new faculty members when trying to find her way around campus.
I grew up in Burlington, spent a lot of time in the Champlain Islands growing up. Moved away for high school, but really wanted to come back to UVM. So I conducted my undergrad in what's now called the Rubenstein School. Yeah, I shared it, so maybe.
Bertman recently joined UVM Extension for their annual tour of Vermont's working landscape, offered to new faculty.
Soybeans and things like that. Because
Though she's no stranger to the area, her new colleagues came here from all over the country and the world. Many of them were getting an up-close look at Vermont for the first time. Trish O'Keen has been in the state for less than 24 hours.
Are you new to Vermont?
Yes, my husband and our dog and I just arrived last night. We drove 1,000 miles from Madison, Wisconsin.
O'Keen is teaching environmental studies in the Rubenstein School for Environment and Natural Resources. This is a second career for her, after spending time as a community activist, researcher, and human and civil rights investigative journalist.
One of the projects I did mention we visited is a parks project, the Taylor Park in St. Albans, and I did my dissertation on a kind of a parks project in Madison, so I was really interested in how the revitalization of this park in Vermont spurred the revitalization of the downtown and helped the local economy. I thought that was really, really cool. And I even made a really wonderful contact when I was talking to people from the parks project, because I'm going to be designing future community-based coursework for the Rubenstein School, and so for me to be able to make community contacts, and I'm writing down people's names and phone numbers, who do I want to talk with, have a coffee with in the future, that will help me as a new faculty member get more ideas and establish myself more quickly, and I think, and hopefully, design some coursework that can serve Vermont. But first I have to know Vermont in order to do that, so this is the first step.
Also joining the tour was Patrick Garcia, a lecturer in the School of Business Administration who began teaching at UVM earlier this year.
I came from Australia, did my PhD there for 3 years, did a postdoc before coming here, and then went here. I was hired in the business school to teach organizational behavior.
Garcia arrived at UVM in January.
It took a bit of an adjustment. Well, first of all, with regards to the weather, it's the first time I live somewhere that snows. So I'm from the Philippines originally, so obviously it's a tropical country, and in Australia where I stayed, it doesn't snow there.
Garcia has been focused on his teaching and hasn't had a chance to get to know Vermont.
The faculty tour was really helpful in orienting me with Vermont outside of Burlington. So I didn't, just because I was busy with preparing for the course during my first semester, I didn't really get the chance to go around outside of Burlington, and I realized during the faculty tour that there was so much more that I haven't seen, and I think so much more that I could see.
You're more than welcome to check it out and see.
Garcia plans to focus his research on family businesses, looking at how the behavior of those involved can affect the ultimate success or failure of the business.
Vermont is an interesting context to study in terms of family businesses and the role of the family. I can remember that we went to one farm, and the whole family is actually involved, from making decisions about what crops to put in, and from making business decisions with regards to how much they're going to sell. And I remember that with one business, I think all of the family members went to UVM. And so you get a sense that they have a high respect or regard for UVM, and at the same time, all of the family members are actually contributing to the success of the business.
Where are you coming from?
I grew up in Vermont.
Oh, in Vermont?
Yeah,
Great,
yeah,
great,
I
great.
went to,
It's hard to see people from Vermont at UVM.
Yes, I know. You don't hear my...
Getting a chance to see some of the work UVM is doing around the state was an eye-opener.
When I signed up for it, I didn't know what to expect. I thought we were just going to different businesses and we're just going to look at how they do things. But I didn't know that we're actually going to look at that, plus going to look at how the university actually impacts these, how the university helps them improve their business practice, how the university contributes to the welfare of their employees. And so I think it's a good way for orienting new employees, because it not only gives you a sense of how the community is, how the state is, you know, what's there, what's to see outside of your immediate environment. It gives you a sense of the organization you're working for is actually making a difference.
The tour finished at Allen Home Farm in South Hero, a place that's near and dear to Farrell Bertman.
We ended up on my home farm, which is Allen Home Farm up in South Hero. I grew up going to Allen Home. I did some part-time work when I was little for fun, and then when I went to UVM as an undergrad, I worked part-time at Allen Home Farm. Their family.
Despite her long history at Allen Home, Bertman says there was something different about this visit.
Coming into these farms now as a new faculty member, it puts me in a different position. It allows me to think about opportunities to do service learning and to teach and expand the relationship from the UVM campus out into our community. So it was a very special experience to come in that position and understand how to then make those connections between agriculture, rural Vermont in most cases, and in Burlington and UVM.
Touring Vermont's working landscape in order to show the connections that exist, and helping these new employees make some new connections of their own at the same time.
I'm just proud and happy to be part of UVM and to see that UVM actually impacts the community, not only on introducing new technology to improve practices, business practices, but also with other things that may not immediately come to mind in terms of how a university can impact a business.
Impacting businesses and lives around the state. UVM Extension is showing some new friends how it's done here in Vermont. In South Hero, I'm Rebecca Gallen with Across the Fence.
Well, thanks, Rebecca. If you're just joining us, we're visiting with Doug Lontine, the Dean of UVM Extension, and one of the new faculty members on the tour is part of UVM Extension. Who is this new person?
Chris Stepanek came from us from Wisconsin, and she started in July. And we had a faculty member that worked with Sea Grant or watersheds in the state, retired, Yuri Homziak. And so Chris is hired in to take the Sea Grant program to the next level. And Sea Grant is a partnership between the Rubenstein School for the Environment and Natural Resources and UVM Extension to work on from the seashore, from the lake shore up into the watershed. And
so what other investments does UVM Extension make to improve water quality across Vermont?
We have a whole lot of them. In this last fall, we were on 2 to 3 grants. They're called RCCP grants. Don't ask me what that acronym all comes out. But from one that is dealing with the Long Island Sound, because the Connecticut River, which dumps into the Long Island Sound, goes all the way up to Canaan. And so we're part of $1 million that will be working on water quality in the Connecticut River Valley, as well as 2 that are dealing with the Lake Champlain, to teaching farmers about no-till corn and buffer strips and nutrient management planning. It kind of goes on because it's this complete package of how do we protect our natural resources while supporting our economic engine here in the state, agriculture.
And so what other areas of emphasis and investment by Extension on behalf of Vermonters is going on?
Well, I think we've talked about a lot of these through the years, but there's everything from food safety to nutrition to, of course, our 4-H youth programs to the agricultural ones we talked about, but we also have farm viability where we're working on the business side. There's the engineering. Chris Callahan came on 3 years ago as our first ag engineer in 20 years, so works with the different food hubs and different farmers around the state and entrepreneurs. So it's a wide range of services. Anything, we're kind of the university, and we're just doing it in the community rather than just being on campus. So anything you can see at the university, you can probably see what we're doing with communities and people in the state.
Well, excellent. Well, if you have a question or a comment, Doug would like to hear from you. You can contact him at UVM Extension State Office. The telephone number is 866-622-2990. You can also reach Doug by email. His email address is doug.lontine@uvm.edu. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Judy.
That's our program for today. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.